What's going on, everyone? Berial here, and today in my first Berial Plays reviews, or BP reviews for short, I'm bringing you Star Wars Battlefront. Is it good? Is it bad? It's a bit of everything. So let's jump into game modes, how the game looks, feels, sounds, plays, and may the Force be with us, because this one's going to be a doozy. So let's take a look. So off the disc, straight out the box, we've got 9 game modes. Supremacy, which is A and B Conquest. Walker Assault, which is your classic Star Wars mode, where it's Rebel versus Empire, 20 versus 20. Empire escorts AT-ATs, Rebels try to stop them. Fighter Squadron is for you X-Wing and you TIE Fighter fans. Blast is your standard deathmatch. Cargo is Capture the Flag. Drop Zone is ADC Domination. I could go on and on about the game modes, but they're standard, run-of-the-mill, first-person, third-person shooter game types. So, a little bit disappointing, but in the game itself, there are only 11 blasters to choose from. In the wide Star Wars universe, with countless weapon types, we get 11 guns. Thankfully, they are somewhat different, and they do change up your playstyle just a little bit, so I'm not going to knock them too bad, but that is kind of lacking. You don't have equipment this time around, you have cards that you equip on your character, and these cards may be long-distance weapons, throwable weapons, passive abilities, equipment that enhances your movement like jetpacks, so variability is appreciated in that factor. And then, of course, you can customize your Rebel or your Stormtrooper, so that way you do stand out amongst all the others in the battlefield. But if you're a fan of Twi'lek and Rhodians and all the different alien races, be prepared to grind your ass off just to get to level 40 and spend 17,000 in-game credits on them. On the flip side, I like playing as Stormtroopers a lot more because I like Stormtroopers. I think they're a lot cooler than Rebels. But if you want the Scout Trooper or the Shadow Trooper right there, it's going to take a while for you to get those two. So let's jump right into the most important question as I show you some of these emotes you can throw on the field if you're feeling a little cheeky. What is Star Wars Battlefront this time around? Is it good and is it fun to play? Well, let's take a look. So the first thing you're going to notice about Battlefront is this is not Call of Duty. This is not Battlefield. This is not a standard first-person shooter. As a matter of fact, you can choose it to be first-person or third-person. I personally enjoy that option because I'm a Gears player. And overall, Battlefront plays well. It's very fun to play, and it's very satisfying, especially on larger maps. If it's 20 versus 20, I have more fun than if it's 10v10, because this game is supposed to be enjoyed on large maps. Here's the problem. Guns do not handle like your regular firearms. These are laser blasters, of course, so there is no way to reload the weapon. It overheats at times. If you use it too much, you need to cool down your weapon, and a little meter will pop up that lets you hit a reload button, and if you hit it precisely, you're back in the action immediately. If you're not, or your timing is off, you're out for about 5 seconds because your gun has quote-unquote overheated. The equipment does its best to change up playstyle, and I do appreciate that you can have loadouts with jetpacks and long-range homing rockets, close-range grenades, but obviously it's going to be a term of preference. It's going to be what you guys like to play with that kind of suits the playstyles and equipment that you'll throw on your characters. Flying is a joke. I don't know what's up with Fighter Squadron, but I can't even get a match in without being disconnected, and the flying doesn't feel good anyway, especially with X-Wings and TIE Fighters. And that's a bummer because they are really cool, but they don't handle very well in-game. In certain flying modes, you can play as the Millennium Falcon or Boba Fett's Slave One, but good luck finding them because they're pickups that you have to find on the field. So, from a gameplay standpoint, Battlefront is meant to be played in short bursts, not long sessions. What will enhance your playthroughs, however, is if you happen to play as heroes and villains in certain game types. Here's where Battlefront gets a little more fun, but a little more complicated. In certain game types, you can play as the heroes and villains, the heroes being Luke, Han, and Leia, and the villains being Palpatine, Boba Fett, and Darth Vader. If you take away Boba's jetpack, Luke definitely has the most mobility, as he's the quickest. He has a block that sends back blaster shots, lightsaber swings, and force lightning, although it is timed, you can't do it forever. He has a basic saber strike, a circling saber attack, which qualifies as a heavy attack, and a dashing saber strike, which covers a lot of forward ground. Luke is a lot of fun to play, and he can cut through stormtroopers really easily and take care of most of the other heroes. The problem with Luke is when it comes to playing a Darth Vader player. The lightsaber combat in this game is hilariously broken. I'm going to show you a clip coming up to where a Vader player is kind of chilling in one of the tunnels, and I'm going to run up to him and attack him. There is no other form of blocking unless you hit the L2 button at the right time to reflect Saber Strike, and if you time it right, which I'm about to do, you can just wail on them without doing anything. Just keep hitting that Saber Strike and you're fine. If they patch lightsaber combat, this could definitely be a lot more fun, but Luke is definitely one of the fun heroes to play as. The same could also be said for Vader if he didn't control like an 18-wheeler missing half of its wheels. He's got the Force Choke and a Saber Throw, which you can see right coming up soon, that decimates people from afar. And he also has a pretty heavy Saber Swing that does a decent amount of damage right there. Vader is an intimidating presence if you're a rebel soldier and you see him take the field, because he really does do a lot of damage. The problem is he's slow, he's clunky, and he is not fun to control. Overall, definitely the cooler between Luke and Vader, but Luke's going to be the better choice in terms of your saber users. By far the best and most overpowered hero is without a question Boba Fett. He has a 3-shot blaster, a flamethrower, his wrist rocket launcher right there, and his jetpack. All the tools that he has available to him are just ridiculously strong, especially the jetpack. You can fly from point A to B on the map, and it barely takes up any of your fuel. You can see the fuel meter right above the health at the bottom of the screen. Even when you run out of jetpack fuel, it recharges at too fast of a rate. So if you have the choice to be Boba, I'd pick him pretty much every time, unless you're a fan of Vader, you know, for the saber combat, and Palpatine's not that great either. So he's gonna be your front runner in terms of the villains. And speaking of, since this is a bit of a longer clip, the heroes and villains have an interesting dynamic to them, because you really can change the flow of combat depending on who's winning, who's losing, who has the most objectives, and it really is cool that you can change the flow of battle. The problem is just like your TIE Fighters, X-Wings, Millennium Falcon, the Slave One, these are all pickups that you have to find on a field that randomly spawns these pickups. So becoming a hero in certain modes is almost impossible unless you're playing heroes versus villains, or the hero hunt mode where one character plays the hero and the other 7 players try to take him down. Clearly, however, Boba is going to be the best in terms of abilities, usage, and damage. Not to be outdone, however, is Han Solo. Out of all the heroes and villains, I have the most fun with Han because of that freaking blaster pistol. The thing takes about 2 or 3 shots to drop down standard infantry, but what you can do with his blaster is probably the coolest out of the abilities. You've got the standard firing mode, and of course, you have a charge mode to where Han charges up the blaster, and it pretty much drops anything besides villains in a one-shot, one-hit kill. He also has a cooldown ability to where if you pop it, there is no more overheating on his blaster, so you can truly shoot as much as you want without overheating the pistol. The only ability that doesn't make any sense whatsoever, at least from a film standpoint, is the shoulder charge. It's funny to see him run into battle like he did in the Stormtrooper outfit in the movies, but its use in the game is practically worthless. And then we move on to my least favorite villain and least favorite hero. Leia is more of a support character because of the bubble shield she can pop up for her teammates. Her blaster does really solid damage, but it does overheat fairly quickly. she does have a focus fire shot, kind of like Han does, and it does a little more damage, but you can fire at a faster rate. And unlike the other heroes and villains, you can drop a health token. So it heals you for about 15 to 20 pips of health. The problem is, the more you use it, the less amount of health it's going to give you back. So I understand what her role is as a support character. I personally just don't have any type of fun playing as her unless it's specifically in Hero Hunt where you have 7 people trying to track you down and you happen to be Leia, because she can stand her own ground. The problem is she's not as fun as the fast-paced gameplay of Luke, Vader, Han, and Boba. Unfortunately, the least fun that you can have with a hero or a villain is definitely going to be Palpatine. So the first question you're going to ask yourself when playing as Palpatine or Darth Sidious is, why am I not doing any damage? And the answer is because the Force Lightning ability sucks. You can do the standard Force Lightning, or you can pop a focused beam of lightning that chains to other enemies. That's got a very long cooldown on it, but that is definitely the tool that you want to use when playing as Sidious. The health token is exclusive to him for the villains, kind of like it is exclusive to Leia for the heroes. So he can heal himself. Again, the more you use it, the less it's going to heal you for. And much like Han, he has the forward dash ability that is practically worthless. And unfortunately, it's the spiral leap that he has from Revenge of the Sith. And it even has that horrible soundbite with it too. Definitely not fun to play as. You will play as him in some of the heroes versus villains mode. Honestly, focus on troops. Don't try to take down too many heroes. Palpatine is not very viable when it comes to damage. So we've already talked about what makes Battlefront good. The visuals and the sound design make it seem like you're actually playing an interactive Star Wars film. It just looks that spectacular and sounds that immersive. What's not so good about Battlefront is its replayability. The problem, as I said before, is this game is designed from the ground up to enjoy in small, bite-sized bursts. After playing an extended session of Battlefront, I just wasn't having fun anymore. That's going to vary from person to person, but personally, I just can't have too much fun with this game if I'm playing it for too long. On top of that, compared to the old Battlefront series, which had a combination of about 30 heroes and villains to play as, we're going to divide that number by 5 and make it 6 in this game total. And this issue is really not going to be remedied with the fact that EA has talked about including a season pass that's going to come with more heroes and villains, maps, weapons, game types, so on and so forth. The problem is, they haven't even announced what those heroes and weapons and so on and so forth are going to be. So, do you go out and get the game because you're a super fan of the series, or do you wait for a price drop or wait till you see the more content? Well, in a buy, try, or deny situation, if you are a fan of Star Wars, at least give it a try. Go out, rent it for a couple of days, see what you think, and see if you can have some fun with the game and justify a purchase for it. I'm going to say, presentation-wise, from a visual and an audio standpoint, the game is a 10 out of 10. It just is a living, breathing love note to all the Star Wars fans. From a gameplay standpoint, it's run-of-the-mill. It's very average. We're going to give that about a 7 or so. And for replayability, I'm going to give it maybe a 5 on this. So, overall, low 7, maybe 7.5 out of 10 in total. Definitely fun to play with, but do not expect this to stick around for too long. This is EA after all. Who knows if they'll ever shut down the servers, if sales are bad, blah, 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 blah. All the typical crap that we talk about EA you can put in this video. But that's going to do it for me today. Again, my name is Berial. Thank you guys very much for watching, and if you could, please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to see on this channel, and I'll be more than happy to do it. And again, thanks for sticking around. I'll catch you next time. Take it easy.